Hello everyone and welcome back to Robe Reviews, the show where one opinionated man in a bathrobe watches and critiques movies. And today we got ourselves an exciting movie to watch, one that a lot of people have been talking about these days. So we're going to be diving into and reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League.
There are enemies coming from far away. I'm building an alliance to defend ourselves.
Justice League was written by Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder, also directed by Zack Snyder himself. So this is the infamous Snyder Cut that fans and people have been asking for since the original release of Justice League back in 2017. During the original filming, Zack Snyder actually had to step away from the project, which brought in Joss Whedon to finish the film. And it turned out to be a very different version than what Zack Snyder intended. And this is the 4-hour cut of the original 2017 release of Justice League. So this movie is completely Zack Snyder's vision for what he had for the original film. Because it's a 4-hour director's cut, this review is going to be a little bit different than the previous. For obvious reasons, I did not record myself watching 4 hours of Justice League. So this review is going to be a little more traditional, and I'm going to dive right into my thoughts. Anyways, I got my robe tied tight, drink at the ready, so without any further ado, let's get into it. First things first, this cut is miles better than the original 2017 release.
Wow.
And I can't believe I'm saying that a 4-hour cut of a movie is better than the 2-hour cut, but this blows that other movie out of the water.
Don't count on it, Batman.
Wow.
Maybe the most notable improvement is just the overall tone of the movie. And Zack Snyder's darker, grittier cut is so much better than the strange, comedic, very comic booky version that Joss Whedon worked on back in 2017.
Wow.
All of the extra elements that we get in this cut, with the included backstories and the little moments in some of the more dramatic beats, hit a whole lot better. And at the end of the day, this is a popcorn movie where you can just sit back and stuff your face and look at pretty things explode on the screen. But Snyder's version takes us up a notch for sure.
Wow.
And the strangest part of it all is that the 4-hour cut had better pacing than the 2-hour cut.
Wow.
It's great to see blood and gore during fights, and bad guys make some dark decisions along the way. All of that is really refreshing to see in a superhero movie, which is usually so squeaky clean. Despite the much darker tone, there are some good comedic moments, especially with the Flash.
Wow.
He comes in with one-liners really from the get-go. Although as the movie progresses, the Flash ends up being incredibly annoying, and the one-liners just don't stop.
Okay, I'm guessing that's the bad guy.
Nope.
Right, it's probably so radioactive that you grow an extra foot out of your neck.
Nope.
I'm so sorry.
Nope.
By the end, he ends up being just the comedic relief in the sort of funny talking head in an otherwise very dark movie. In this version of the film, there is much more of an attempt at an emotional journey for all of the characters, and especially a fleshed out backstory that sort of helps us understand where they're emotionally coming from as heroes. Which is great, although these dramatic scenes can come off really heavy-handed at times. Overall, though, very impressed that a 4-hour cut felt as fast and smooth as it did.
Wow.
I've seen hour-and-a-half movies that felt like 3 hours, so this was really impressive. Okay, this is the point of the review in which I'm going to get into it a little bit. So for all of you lovers of superhero movies, you've been warned. Once again, we get the same simple premise that seems to show up in every one of these superhero movies. A bad guy comes to Earth with some vague evil intention, needs to find some powerful object along the way that's stashed on Earth somewhere, and the bad guys need to group together and defeat him before it's too late.
Nope.
It's the same idea that's been repackaged and reformed now for close to 20 years. Maybe the worst part of it all is that the bad guys and our main antagonist seems like he's repackaged and reformed as well.
Nope.
The bad guy's goal here is just some vague mission to conquer and destroy and spread evil, and we're not really sure what he really wants or why he's doing what he's doing.
I have come to enlighten you to the great darkness. I will bathe in your fear.
He just wants to spread bad things for no logical reason.
Nope.
Great antagonists are great because on some level we can understand why they're bad and their intentions. We may not agree with them, but the fact that we understand them means we can connect with their character. There's no complexity or originality with his character. And if an antagonist is bad simply because he's evil, then that's a bad character.
Nope.
And the audience is going to have trouble understanding, caring about, or even rooting against that character. The other major issue, which is endemic in all superhero movies, are artificial clocks. Let's break this down for a second. In movies, there needs to be a source of tension and urgency, which is why you see clocks in all sorts of movies. Except when a clock is done well, you barely notice it. But when it's done poorly, the movie feels artificial entirely. For example, in this movie, we have a bad guy that shows up to Earth, and he needs to collect 3 objects. He gets the first object super early, and that's the start of our clock. Now, throughout most of the first act and the second act, we need to wait a long-ass time for that clock to progress. And when the bad guy is just put on hold artificially and that clock doesn't tick, that's when we start to notice. What the movie is really doing is giving our characters time to group together so that once they're finally united, then they can fight the bad guy once he has all the boxes. Then, once the bad guy actually gets all of the boxes successfully, we get another artificial clock in the movie. Now there's this vague amount of time that the box needs to synchronize into one box. The plot doesn't move on authentically at all. What they are controlled stepping stones and little markers for the audience. It tells them, this is where we are in the story. Look out, the bad guy has almost all the things. And then when he has all the things, it's like, oh no, the things need more time. Again, it's just predictable storytelling. And this is not mentioning the convenient timings that characters have when they need to save the day or save another character who's in danger, without any lead up to their sudden and illogical appearances. Someone about to die, cue an entrance of a character that we saw a few scenes ago halfway across the globe who knows nothing about this fight.
Don't count on it, Batman. Why not?
Which brings up another important concept and one that I hate in superhero movies, which is protagonist immunity. We know none of our characters are going to die. Even from a business, monetary perspective, we know that these companies are not going to kill off valuable IP just like that. And even if you think they're dead, then there's always some way to bring them back, whether it's time travel or resurrection, or some combination of the two. And this movie has both. So knowing none of our characters are really in any danger or are really going to die or die for that long, then there really are no stakes. We have protagonists that can't die, and we have antagonists that we don't really care about with some vague mission of evil. The fights against bad guys along the way also feel meaningless. And we often have heroes that somehow forget their abilities in the middle of fights, only to a few scenes later just blow the guy away. And it's all this very controlled and manipulated storytelling to make it feel like our characters are fighting against something, when really they are limitlessly powerful and never gonna die.
Not impressed.
On to a couple more specifics. Why the hell is Batman in the League?
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
When he's in Gotham fighting crooks and mobsters, that seems totally reasonable. But against alien devil beings? Movie's words, not mine. It just seems stupid. He's just out of his element. We also get Amy Adams playing Lois Lane in this movie. And for about the first 2 hours, she has these random scenes where she's just grieving or delivering coffee to some policemen. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, why the fuck is Amy Adams even in this movie? And then we realize that she's really in this movie just for one purpose, and that's just to calm down newly resurrected Superman who's completely lost his mind. Another thing, why do they have to alter Batman's voice when he's in the suit?
That's why I brought you together.
It sounds pretty ridiculous, and I'm just confused why they do it at all. Is it because Christian Bale did it and now everyone has to do it?
Where were the other drugs going?
One big story problem that we run into is that Steppenwolf really isn't the big bad guy in the end. He's really just his henchman. The big bad guy really just shows his face in a couple of scenes, but never actually shows up to Earth or does anything himself. I know it's to set up a potential sequel with the main bad guy, but it just seems sort of lazy to throw it in halfway and expect us to go along with the main story, really expecting it to fail the whole time. I'm not even going to comment on the 4:3 aspect ratio. You do you, Zack Snyder, but would you rather see a review like this? Or like this? Yeah. So anyways, as is tradition, I'm going to give this movie a score out of 100. So, drumroll please. A score is 62, which actually is pretty reasonable. Considering I don't like superhero movies, this 4-hour cut was far more entertaining than I thought it would be. Now, of course, if they can put some original storytelling into these movies and a little less CGI, the score would be way higher. People love seeing shit blow up and superheroes fly around, and I don't blame them, but I'm looking for a little more. Maybe just fucking kill off a superhero. Make shit interesting. I don't know. I really want to enjoy these movies. But when I think about how lazy the stories are and how repackaged and repurposed they all are, I just can't buy into it. Now, I'm sure some of you will enjoy this movie far more than I did, and that's your prerogative. You guys do you. So anyway, we got a lot more movies to watch and a lot more reviews to be had. I'll see you guys on the next one.